3:30 in the morning. That's what time this athlete started this workout. And I have a lot of things to say about a 3:30 a.m. workout. I call them super ninja workouts. So many times in the endurance industry, if you're if you're a master's athlete, you're any kind of athlete, you got to get your workouts in. Consistency is king. And the trick is to make sure that you're still moving forward, that you're able to recover, that you're not doing anything to hurt yourself, and that you truly are moving forward. So the 3:30 a.m. workout, whenever I see these, flags start going off left and right, like what happens? Are you driving yourself to too much fatigue? Is it really gonna hurt the next day? There's so many questions as a coach to think about these 3:30 a.m. workouts. So the workout starts at 3:30 a.m., meaning that this athlete gets up at 3 a.m. to get dressed, scarf down some food, get on the bike and get out there, get his lights going and everything, right? So, whenever I see these, it's a red flag for me. I really want to dial in. I really want to talk to the client to make sure that if, they're getting up at 3:30 a.m., how's that going to affect the rest of their day? How's it going to affect their life? Whatever. I myself have done these many times, but maybe, I've been training pretty hard for, since 2012. And, I maybe have 10 to 15 of these 3:30 a.m. workouts. This particular athlete does it all the time. There's at least a once a week 3:30 a.m. monster workout. I'm not talking about like an hour, interval session or something like that. I'm talking about 3 hours, 3.5, 4 hour rides during the work week starting at 3:30 a.m. So let's jump into this workout and see what we have. First thing I always do when I look at any workouts, I always jump into the athlete comments, right? And so what do we see here from this athlete? Nothing, no comments whatsoever. This athlete is pretty famous for not leaving me comments. I'll have to text him, I'll have to call him. We have bi-weekly Zoom calls. But he's pretty famous. He's been with me several seasons now, and he's pretty famous for not leaving comments. I love comments, right? So comments are, a crucial way to move forward in a healthy, positive way, right? So I need those comments, because if I get certain comments in the middle of the week, we might change the rest of the week. If I get certain comments at the beginning of the week, too easy or too hard, we might change the whole entire week just based on those comments, okay? So comments are crucial. I also like to think about them as a way to communicate with your future self, okay? So not only is it about me, the coach, but it's about you, the athlete, communicating with your future self, whether it's an event and you want to make notes about this event that you're going to do again in the future, but, always leave comments for your coach. And, I have to go different routes to get to squeeze the comments out of this athlete. So what is the workout itself? The workout was a fatigue resistance workout. It was 2 hours endurance followed by a 3 by 15 minute at tempo with bursts. All right. Took 3 hours, 25 minutes. He had an RPE of 7. Distance 70 miles. Again, this is 3:30 in the morning. That's his launch time. A massive TSS of 200. Average watts for the day was 244, and he had an intensity factor of 7.7. Now, I love these fatigue resistance workouts. So he's building towards event, and you'll see these type of workout largely in a build period. Okay, so you have to end that race strong. You have to end whatever race you're doing strong. And so the idea behind a fatigue resistance workout is to do a whole bunch of work and then, tap on some monster intervals at the very end. And it's actually very productive. Okay, so this workout, 2 hours, zone 2, 2 hours endurance, then a 3 by 15 at tempo with tons of anaerobic capacity bursts. Okay, so let's look at and see how he did. The first visual representation I look at when I look at a workout is this energy impact. And so we see this yellow represents endurance work. The blue is sort of a mixture of threshold and above threshold. So this is, we're kind of at tempo through here, kind of at FTP through here, all this blue. And then we can see, and he nailed it, right? So 2 hours, he nailed it, right? This is not a indoor training ride. This was an outdoor ride at 3:30 in the morning, and his discipline, and you're going to hear me say this again, his discipline was fantastic. All right, so then we got all these, the 3x15 at the end with all these anaerobic capacity bursts. And again, visually on first look, this looks fantastic. I love to look at this chart as well. This is the dynamic functional reserve capacity chart. Basically, I've explained this a lot. What happens is that, you have an aerobic engine, your diesel engine, and then you have this battery on top. So whenever you start to accumulate time above your threshold, above your lactate threshold, above your FTP, that blue line starts ticking down. All right. And so it really shows me, if I'm looking at a cyclocross race, if I'm looking at a crit, it really shows me, it gives me a great visual representation of the race. Like, where was the race? Where did the break happen? Because that's all, above FTP, above threshold work. Okay. So looking at this, this red line is his FTP. All of this is his zone 2 work. And this is, look at that. So he barely, when you're just doing zone 2, your line doesn't, you're not accessing your battery. So what does he do at the end? He has all these bursts. Boom, drills it. Monster drills at this first one. Just feeling really good. And, this is fascinating because we see this all the time. Second intervals are often your best intervals. You're using the first one to understand where you are, all that great stuff. And then your second one is typically one that you'll kill. And that's, look at that. He digs deep. And then he even has stuff left on the third. So, you can just see he's digging deep. He recovers, digs deep, recovers at tempo. So these are tempo intervals. So he's recovering at tempo. So he's digging hard, recovering at tempo, digging hard, recovering at tempo, digging hard, recovering at tempo. So again, this is just absolutely brilliant work. Here is his accumulated time in power zones. I always look at this just as another visual representation of the workout itself. I'm a coach, and my coaching style is super disciplined when it comes to training zone intensity, training zone discipline. I am pretty disciplined on this, and I really want to see a few things when we look at this stuff. And so right here, zone 1, not a lot of physiological adaptations coming from zone 1. So this is perfect, right? Zone 2, this is the majority, the bulk of the work of the ride. Boom, nails it. And then he gets in his tempo. And then there's a little bit of threshold and then some nice anaerobic capacity. So all in all, his tempo's discipline was amazing. Here's his heart rate chart. The accumulation of most of his heart rate was in zone 2. And you can see right here, zone 3 as well. So nails it a little bit in threshold. Nails it. So now I have a lot of coach comments, not only for the athlete. When he first started to do these things, I really started to get nervous. When I start to see, an individual who has a family, who has, major responsibilities as his job, to start to do the 3:30 a.m. workouts over and over and over and over again. And again, he's doing these outside. These are outdoors. These are not going downstairs, jumping on a trainer. He's doing these outside. So, I have a lot of thoughts on these as someone who has done them both on the trainer and outside, and has worked through many different athletes through this very scenario. So I have some comments for this particular athlete. One of the things that, that's going to happen is that, if, you can start your ride at 10 a.m. every day, you're going to get a great breakfast. You're going to get a great snack. You're going to be able to fuel. You're going to be walking around the house. Your body is naturally going to warm up. He doesn't get that, right? So what I always recommend is that they eat a little more carb before going to bed. And certainly, since he's going to be getting up at 3 a.m. For a 3:30 a.m. launch, no alcohol before race or workout. No alcohol before race day, but no alcohol before that workout. Really treat this as a holy workout, a holy event. Make sure that the night before you're getting great carb, a little protein, to get that, just to kind of tap off your reserves because you got an early start. Prioritize sleep. Sleep is crucial, not only on the day of these, but that night, right? We don't want to keep digging a hole, right? The harder you work, the harder you need to recover. This was a 3.5-hour ride, 70 miles outside at 3:30 a.m. He needs to make sure that the night before and that night, the day of, he needs to prioritize sleep, right? No alcohol for this particular athlete. Prep well, right? So you got to prep, obviously, you got to prep everything the night before. You got to lay out all of your nutrition. Nutrition is going to be crucial for a workout like this, especially with that fatigue resistance component at the end. So for those 2 hours, and so not only does he should do a gel before he gets on the bike, plus scarf down some other food, but he really needs to be eating for 2 hours to nail his fatigue resistance at the end, that 3x15. Hydration and fueling is crucial. If you don't eat or drink and you got a tempo 3x15 at the end or something even harder, you're going to be pretty flat at the end. So another thing that I also recommend is a longer warm up. So if you are just going to go out or sit on the trainer for an hour, do a little bit longer workout, add 20 minutes of just waking up, just pedaling, just moving around so that you can warm up, on the trainer. For him, he was outside, and he nailed that particular workout. He got great sleep. He got great the warm-up was great. He eats well. Everything is great. And what I love about this particular athlete is that he does it and nails these again and again and again and again. He routinely has outdoor 70-mile rides starting at 3:30 a.m. in the morning, right? Super Ninja workouts. I hope you do them, and I hope you do them right, and I hope you communicate with your coach. And I hope that if you do start on using these tactics, that you can make sure that you're moving forward in a super positive, healthy way. All right, thanks everybody.